Hi, this is Brian from Riverside Reptiles Education Center. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe at the end of this video. So today's video is about the best snakes for beginners. We are not a pet store, we're a reptile zoo, but we get a lot of inquiries about what snakes make the best pets. So join us today. We're going to go over 3 of the best beginner pet snakes, and there are a couple honorable mentions in there as well. So I've been keeping snakes for a little over 30 years now, and these snakes that we're going to mention that are going to be the best beginner pet snakes are my opinion from my experience. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different opinions out there, and if you have a different opinion, please leave it in the messages below. I'd love to hear it. But our third snake, our third best pet beginner snake, it might surprise a couple of you, is going to be the ball python. Now, why it might surprise some people is because this is probably one of the most popular pet snakes on the market today. And they do make awesome pets, don't get me wrong. I love ball pythons. They come in so many different colors and phases, but there's a couple reasons why they're in third place and not in second or third place. First place. Number one reason is they're a nocturnal species. So when I recommend a snake for a beginner keeper, I think it's really good that this beginner keeper gets to observe the snake, gets to watch it during the day. So in my own opinion, diurnal snakes make the best pets, especially for beginner keepers, because they get to watch and observe the snake during the day. Ball pythons pretty much sleep all day. They're kind of like the cats of the snake world. They sleep all day, they're more active at night. Another reason why they're not in first place is because of their longevity. Ball pythons can live for a very long time. Their average lifespan is around 30 years of age. And I believe the record lifespan for a ball python was one at a zoo that lived to be almost 50 years old. So ball pythons are an investment. So if you have a child that's interested in getting a pet snake, ball pythons probably aren't the best unless you're really going to be in this for a commitment. Because when your kid grows up and moves out of your house and decides not to take their 20-year-old ball python with them, you might be stuck with a ball python for 20 years. And here at Riverside Reptiles, I get at least 1 or 2 calls or emails a week from people wanting to give me their pet ball pythons, pretty much because of the same reason. I got this snake as a little baby for my kid. My kid is now moved out to college or got married or moved to a different state, and now I'm stuck with these ball pythons. It's a very common thing I hear at least almost once a week. But if you're in a different situation, if you're an adult and you're looking for a beginner pet snake, ball pythons are awesome. They're very tame. You might have to work with a baby because all baby snakes can be a little bit nippy. But more or less, they're very easy to work with. They don't get huge. This is an adult female. She's actually was a rescue. Her former owner lived here in town in Enfield, and unfortunately their house burnt down. And he was kind of stuck. He didn't have any place to put his ball python while he was looking for another place to live. So we took her in. Her name is Cleo. She's about 15 years old, which is still young for a ball python, and she's only maybe about 36 inches long. So they are great pets. They're relatively easy to keep. You do have to keep them warmer than our snakes 1 and 2 that you're going to meet in a little while. They are a tropical species, our tropical savanna species from Africa. And we're not really going to dive into all the care for these beginner pet snakes. You're going to have to do a little bit of your own research, and we're going to put a link below of a great place to go get care sheets on some of these snakes. All right, so if you noticed on Cleo when I was holding her, you might have seen these scars running down her back. That is because her former owner was feeding her live prey, which is something I definitely do not recommend for your captive bred snakes. Captive bred snakes are usually acclimated to eating frozen thawed prey. They don't need to be fed live prey. Some people think it's better for the snake, it gives them more enrichment. Could be partially true, but feeding live prey to a snake in captivity is not great because the live prey can fight back. And if you see all these big scars down her back, she was being fed small rats. Rats have very sharp teeth. So when she bit the rat and constrict it, it takes, a couple seconds for that rat to die, if not maybe a little bit longer. So the rat, sinks its teeth into the snake, scars it up, and some rats, left alone in the cage with the snake, can kill your snake. Also, a pretty hefty vet bill if the rat gnaws a hole in your snake and you have to take the snake to the vet to get medical treatment. So unfortunately, she was being fed live rodents, but she takes frozen thawed now, so no more scars for Cleo. But that's why she has all these scars down her back. All right, coming in at number 2 for the best beginner pet snake is the California king snake. I absolutely love California king snakes. Just like ball pythons, they come in a lot of different varieties, a lot of different color phases. This is Banana. He's known as the banana phase California king snake. He's high yellow, so you wouldn't find this species or this color phase in the wild. Now, I love California king snakes because unlike the ball python, they're more active during the day. Although they can be nocturnal in the wild at certain times of the year, in captivity, they're usually pretty active during the day. They're a very alert snake as well. So when you walk into the room and your king snake hears you coming, they usually pop their head up and look around. Also, they don't get too big. This is an adult California king snake. He's a teenager as well. He's around 13, 14 years old right now. He's about almost just under 4 feet long, but California king snakes average around 3 to 4 feet. And they're super easy to take care of in comparison to the ball pythons. They don't need to be kept super warm. They're not a tropical species. They're relatively easy to feed. In fact, a lot of our California king snakes here, we call them garbage disposals, because when we have extra food, extra mice left over from other animals, we often just throw it to the California king snakes, and they usually take it right away. In the wild, king snakes primarily prey on other snakes and lizards, but in captivity, they acclimate readily to frozen thawed mice. Now, when you get baby snakes, especially baby king snakes, they can be a little nippy, they can be a little bitey, but you just have to work with your snake, be patient. Eventually you'll get a calm, nice king snake like Banana here. We use Banana for a lot of our education programs. Now, one thing with king snakes that you do kind of have to look out for, they are kind of the Houdinis of the snake world. They're great escape artists. So make sure you get yourself a very secure enclosure. Don't keep them in 10-gallon tanks or anything that you need a screen top for, because these guys will find their way eventually out of a screen top. If you forget to latch the top or the clips aren't secure enough, they'll just pop the top. So make sure you get a really good enclosure. Front opening enclosures actually work the best, especially for king snakes, since they are so good at finding their way out. All right, well, here's another California king snake. This is a wild type California king snake, or the banded phase. His name is Coco. Also another gorgeous snake. This one actually is a little bit older than Banana, but this one was not fed enough food when he was a baby. He's actually another rescue, so he didn't grow as much. So Coco here is only, he's probably about 8 or 10 inches shorter than Banana, although he's probably almost twice Banana's age. This snake is almost actually 20 years old, and that's another great reason to get California king snakes, is because their longevity isn't as long as a ball python. So on the average, they typically live for about 20 years, give or take. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Now there's another phase, a wild type phase of the California king snake, and I think it's referred to as the coastal phase, where they have the same kind of chocolate background, like dark brown background. But instead of these yellow bands, they have a long stripe that runs down them. Another very pretty snake. But altogether, California snakes, I think, are the second best pet snake for beginners. All right, so no surprise here. Our number one best pet snake for beginners is, of course, the corn snake, which is a type of rat snake. The reason why they are the best beginner pet snakes is because of their availability. A lot of pet stores carry them, although I don't always recommend going to chain pet stores, but you can go to your local mom and pop pet store. Also, reptile expos are a great place to find a lot of captive bred snakes, especially corn snakes. Every reptile expo is going to have them. They come in a lot of different colors. This is a wild type, which actually is one of my favorite colors. But they come in albino and all white leucistic, bright orange. I mean, there's so many different colors, and they all have these really cool names as well. Corn snakes, just like the California king snake, their average lifespan is around 20 years, although I had one that lived to be about 25 once. And they don't get very large. I mean, a 4-foot corn snake is what I consider to be a pretty large corn snake. In the wild, I believe they can get closer to 5 feet. In captivity, maybe they can get that long as well. But usually they average around 3 to 4 feet long. As babies, again, they can be a little nippy, a little defensive, but as long as you work with them, you'll have a great pet snake. And they are, for the most part, diurnal species. Again, just like California king snakes, during the time of the year, depending on the time of the year, they can be a little bit more active at night as well. But they're usually a pretty alert snake. They love to climb, so make sure, although we're not going to get too much into their care, make sure you provide them with a great climbing area. So you want an enclosure that's a little bit high as well. So you can put in some branches because they absolutely love to climb. Another great reason corn snakes are really good beginner pet snakes is you don't need to keep them super warm. Again, we're gonna have a link below for care sheets. In fact, some of the best care sheets that I find are on the Reptiles Magazine website, and Reptiles Magazine isn't paying me to advertise for them, at least not yet. But those articles are written by reptile breeders and experts in the reptile field. I'm sure there's lots of information out there on the best care for corn snakes, but I like to get my information from people that have years and years of experience. So I'll leave a link down below to some great care sheets for you. Now, this corn snake is also a rescue, and I do get calls for people wanting to place their corn snakes, but not as frequent as the ball pythons. Corn snakes are native to southeastern United States. They come as far north as southern New Jersey. But you can find them all the way down into Florida and a little bit along the Gulf Coast until they integrate with another species. So here's another corn snake we have. He's actually another rescue snake. This is an albino corn snake. As I said before, they come in a lot of different cool colors. So albino animals are actually amelanistic. So you might be asking yourself, why isn't this albino animal white? Well, that is because they're just lacking melanin. Melanin is a dark pigment in their skin. Now, unlike humans and other mammals which just have melanin in their skin, reptiles have more than one pigment. So you can see this snake is missing all the blacks, all the dark pigments in this wild type corn snake, but is still left with all of the oranges, reds, yellows. Kind of gives them a very unique appearance. So where it's all white, see all the white? That's where the black pigment is on the wild type. Thank you so much for watching this video on the 3 best beginner pet snakes. Please stay tuned for part 2 where we have honorable mentions. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and thank you again so much for your support.